There was one Survivor scene in particular that made me jump out of my seat with frustration. But there was something special about this scene though, because it included a hidden yet valuable lesson for online business owners who are feeling overwhelmed, frustrated, or unsure on how the heck to manage all of the things that they have going on. So in this episode, I'm sharing what this lesson is and how you can avoid feeling the same way from here on out so that way you can grow the business of your dreams with ease. Are you ready? Let's dive on in. Hey, I'm Lucy Reyes, your host of the Cheerful Productive Chats podcast, where I'm on a mission to help online entrepreneurs like you focus on all the right things and kiss overwhelm goodbye. Here, you're going to learn strategies that will boost your productivity so that you can scale your online biz and impact lives sooner. It's your time to shine, so let's get started. Hey, welcome back to the Cheerful Productive Chats podcast. Now, I don't know about you, but Wednesdays in my house are now reserved for Survivor to support my girl, Liz Wilcox, the fresh princess of email marketing, owner of the email marketing membership. It's such a fun show, and there have definitely been some things that have caused me to be like, oh my gosh, and what the heck, and all these different things. So if you are a Survivor person, I just want to throw out a little disclaimer. There will probably be one spoiler in this episode. I'm not going to get into all of the super details, but I will need to explain a particular scene in order to get the lesson across. So if you are a Survivor person and you haven't watched that first lesson of this season episode, or season 46, I believe, then you might want to skip this one and come back once you have watched it. But like I said, I'm not going to go into the full details, and it's just one tiny 2-minute scene that I'm going to be explaining, okay? And I'm not going to mention any names or anything, but it's just a moment in particular that really, when I saw it happening, I'm eating dinner and I literally jump out. I was like, oh my gosh, why aren't you doing this? If you do this, then you could have done this, And so it's just one of those moments where I was like, oh, this is literally how I feel when people don't do this thing that I'm about to share, okay? So I just wanted to throw that disclaimer out there in case you're just like, whoop, no, I don't want to hear anything about what happened from this episode. Then you might want to skip this one for right now. But other than that, if you really want to know what this business lesson is, then stick around because it is a super important one. It's one of, like I said, the one that causes me the most frustration, and especially because of how the situations was handled in that specific scene versus how you can handle them yourself. So let me set the scene and explain what this scene was. So this was a challenge where the challenge included filling up a bucket of water into buckets that had holes in them, and the players had to run across the sand all the way across to the other side of the beach to fill up this really big jug with all of the water. So they're running from the ocean all the way to this jug, trying to fill up their bucket with water to put as much water as they can. And they're timed this whole time, right? So they have a timer on, so they have a limited time to get this jug filled up. And so as they're running, the water is leaking out of the buckets because it has holes in them. And the players noticed this, and they kept going. They just kept trying to fill up the buckets with water and taking it to the jugs. And I was so frustrated because they noticed it was happening. So by the time they went from the beach to the jug, their bucket had less than half of water in it. So it was all of this time and energy being wasted from not sitting down and trying to figure out okay, let's take a few minutes to figure out if we can patch up these holes. Now, I'm not going to go into any of the rules on what they can or cannot do or whatever. The point is, this is what went in my head. I was like, if you had taken a moment to figure out how can we patch up these holes. Yes, there's a timer running. There's a timer going, right? We all have limited time in our days. We're on a time crunch usually. But if they had stopped to try to figure out how they could patch up their holes, I'm sure they could have figured something out. And then they would have been able to continue on their project or their challenge of filling up those buckets with water and taking it to the jugs and have way more water left in the buckets to get that challenge done. I'm not going to let you know how this ended, but that was the scene, okay? And so that reminded me of exactly how online business owners act in their business, and those holes in the buckets are like those missing systems that you don't have, okay? And the water is kind of representing the time and energy that you're putting into your business, the time and energy that you're putting into your projects and your tasks, and not just time and energy, but all of the things that you're doing. So time, energy, and all of the actions that you're doing for your business. And then your bucket, it's kind of supposed to support that, right? But if you have holes because you don't have systems in place, then you're going to be leaking out a lot of that energy, a lot of that time, and getting less than expected results. Some of the actions might not be as powerful as what they could be, right? So if you don't pause to create or fix systems that you have in your business, then your time energy is just going to continue to leak out of those buckets and not give you the results that you want. Whereas if you take a moment to patch up those holes in that bucket, like, I was mentioning it from the survivor scene, aka you want to create or optimize your systems, take a moment to pause and get that done. Yes, it's going to take time out of your day. Yes, the clock is running behind you. I know you're in a time crunch. I know you have so many other things going on in your life, but taking a moment to sit down and patch up those holes is going to give you a much better outcome in the long run. And I know that it is so hard to think about the future. It is so hard to think about like the later versus now, but systems is truly one of those things that can help you get to the future vision of yourself way, way faster. And you will get a way, way better outcome in the long run. This scene just reminded me of that, how so many business owners do not want to or feel like they cannot take the time right now to get their systems implemented for whatever reasons. There's so many reasons that I hear on why this is the case. But the thing is, you cannot not make the time to not get organized. Like, you need to make time to get organized. You need to make time to get your systems implemented, because otherwise you're just going to be putting in so much more effort in getting less than expected results, or less than the results that you could achieve if you just had those systems in place. And the results might not be revenue wise, it might be how much time and energy you have left, especially like after a big launch. If you're someone that's launching, you know how much goes into launching, and you know how many different things you might forget or you might need to do. And by the end of the launch, you're feeling exhausted and you just want to curl up in a ball in your blanket, lay down in bed, and just be like, I'm so tired, and not come back to work for like a week, right? Like, I don't know about you, but that's been my experience in the past. But when you have those systems in place, you can launch effortlessly. And by the end of the launch, be like, you know what? I did everything that I had to do. Here's my system. Here's my checklist. Everything is good. And just have so much energy at the end of the launch. That's another win that you can achieve, right? Because remember, that is like leaking time and energy from those buckets with those holes without systems. And you could get a better outcome, because when you are feeling good, everything else is good, right? Like, that energy kind of sparks off everywhere else. So I know that your time is limited and that you have a lot going on, but I promise there is a better and easier way to accomplish your goals if you just take some time to get it done now, okay? So the lessons that I kind of want you to take away from this is slow down to implement systems that will help you in the long run. Like, this is truly the most important thing. And I don't know if I've said this before in the podcast, or if I said it in an email, or if I just said it to a friend or whatever, but I listen to a lot of podcasts. I listen to a lot of business podcasts. I am an absolute nerd. I love learning. And every time I'm driving, I have a playlist going of all of these podcasts that I listen to. And almost every time, none of them are productivity focused. None of them are organization focused. They are all online business focused. But every single time it's an episode about the things that help me with this, or my top tips to this, or lessons learned here, it always includes something about systems. They always mention the importance of systems. That is not their thing. They teach social media, or email marketing or launching or something else, but they always mention the importance of systems because that is truly, truly, truly incredibly helpful to helping you get things done with ease, and not just get things done with ease, but get a lot more done with a lot less effort. Okay, so slow down to implement these systems so that way they can help you in the long run. I promise you it will be worth it. Yes, it's going to take you some time. It's going to take you a moment to get them done now, but it's just going to make it easier for you, not just tomorrow, but for years and years to come. And then they all just start to add up, like they all start to stack up with one another, and they all build upon each other to make things even easier and easier and easier, to where you get to a point where you can get more done. You can say yes to more opportunities. You can take on more projects. You can have multiple projects going on at once, like I usually do, and not feel overwhelmed or stressed because you know you got it. I got it, right? So that is what you can do. Being an online business owner, there's just so much going on. There's so much that you can do, right? And you want to manage multiple things at once. And in some cases, you feel like you have to because maybe you don't have a team to help you. And maybe it's just you. Well, your systems can act as your virtual assistant. They can act as the extra team member by taking some load off of your shoulder. But you do have to make the time now to get them implemented in the first place, okay? Don't be a player who quits this online business journey. You can prevent this with a good system in place. And even if you're not quite to that extreme, I know it can be easy to sometimes feel like this isn't for me, or maybe I'm not ready for that project yet, or maybe I shouldn't do this task yet, or maybe whatever the thought is, you could do it so much easier no matter where you are in your journey with a system in place. And the good news is that this is exactly what the System Savvy Society is all about. Overwhelm is costing you time and money, but there is a way for you to increase your profits, get tasks done efficiently, and save 7+ hours a week. Inside of the society, you'll have access to the best courses around Trello, spreadsheets, workflow systems, and to help you create those simple strategic systems that will maximize your time. So you get this along with opportunities for feedback, support, and a place to have all of your questions answered as you're going through this journey of creating or fixing your systems, okay? And if you're listening to this episode in real time, then you want to head over to cheerstoproductivity.com/SSS for a special offer when you join today. And even if you listen to this later on, like after this promotion that I'm running right now is over, just send me a message on Instagram with the code word SAVVY, and I will send you the best link for you to join, okay? So come join us if this message really resonated with you, and if you're like, okay, I'm gonna really make the time now to create the system so that way I can help myself in the long run, so that way the future version of myself is so happy and so proud of the past version of me, then I would absolutely love for you to join us. I love to support you in helping you create easy, inexpensive, and uncomplicated systems that give you control of your time, energy, and focus. Just head to cheerstoproductivity.com/SSS to learn more and to join us. Thank you so much for listening to the Cheerful Productive Chats podcast with me, Lucy Reyes. To view the complete show notes and all the links mentioned in today's episode, head to cheerstoproductivity.com/64. And before you go, make sure you follow or subscribe to the podcast wherever you're listening so you know once the next productive chat is released. Talk soon, and cheers to your productivity and success.